All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to look at another crypto coin. No, we're going to be architects. We're going to break down the blueprint for what could be a whole new financial system, looking at the XRP ecosystem as a structure built layer by layer to completely change how we move money around the world.
So let's just start with a question that I think everybody's asked at some point. It's a simple one. Why is it that you can send an email with attachments, photos, whatever, to the other side of the planet and it gets there instantly, but sending money? That takes days. I mean, it feels totally backwards, right? Well, there's a very specific and very old reason for that.
And this is the culprit right here, the old school financial system, the one that uses networks like SWIFT. It runs on this clunky system called Nostro/Vostro accounts. Just imagine this. A bank in the US wants to send money to a bank in Mexico. To do that, they have to literally park a pile of their own cash in that Mexican bank ahead of time, just in case. Now picture that for every single bank, in every country, for every currency pair. The result? Trillions of dollars are just stuck, sitting there as dead capital, not being used, not helping the economy. It's a massive global traffic jam of money.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk a little more about that trillion-dollar problem. Then, we're going to build our new system from the ground up. We'll start with layer 1, the highway, then layer 2, the currency that speeds along it, layer 3, some really crucial upgrades, and finally, we'll see how it all comes together in the grand unification.
Okay, let's lay the foundation. You can't build a skyscraper on sand, right? For this new architecture of value, the bedrock, the foundation, is the XRP ledger. You should think of it as a brand new multi-lane superhighway built specifically for finance.
But here's the thing. This is not just another road. It's fundamentally different. For starters, it doesn't use all that energy-guzzling mining you hear about with Bitcoin. That makes it carbon neutral, which is huge. And the performance? We're talking transactions that are fully confirmed in 3 to 5 seconds. Not minutes, not hours, seconds. And the cost is a tiny fraction of a penny. See, the XRPL was built for one thing and one thing only, to be a blazing fast settlement engine. It's all about moving value, period.
All right, let's move up to the next layer. So we've built our financial highway, now we need a vehicle, something to actually move the value on that highway at incredible speeds. And that, of course, is the job of the native asset itself, XRP. It's basically the fuel for this entire economic engine. This slide just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? The before and after. On the left, you've got the old way, that total mess of pre-funded accounts, all that trapped money, and settlements that take forever. On the right, you've got the new way. You just skip all of that. Instead of parking money all over the world, a bank can use XRP as a bridge asset, just for a moment, on demand. All that dead capital is unlocked, and payments settle in seconds. It's a total game changer.
So how does that actually work in practice? It's so simple, it's almost beautiful. Let's say a bank has US dollars. Step 1, they instantly convert those dollars to XRP. Step 2, that XRP flies across the ledger in about 3 seconds. Step 3, on the other side, it's instantly converted into Mexican pesos. The whole thing is over and done in less time than it took me to explain it. XRP literally just exists for a few seconds to bridge the two currencies.
Okay, so we've got our highway and our super fast vehicle. We're in good shape. But for this system to be truly adopted by big-time industrial-grade players, it needs a couple of essential upgrades. That's where layer 3 comes in. We're adding stability and programmability.
You gotta understand something about institutional finance. They love efficiency, they love speed, but they absolutely hate the price volatility you see with most cryptocurrencies. They just can't risk it. And that's exactly why RLUSD, the Ripple-backed US dollar stablecoin, is so important. It's pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar, giving them a stable, reliable asset to use right there on the ledger.
And I absolutely love this analogy because it just makes everything click. RUSD and XRP are not fighting each other. They're a team. Think of the stablecoin, RUSD, as the valuable cargo you need to ship. And XRP? Well, XRP is the truck that carries the cargo and the gas that powers the truck. They need each other to get the job done.
Now for the other massive upgrade, programmability. For the longest time, one of the big knocks against the XRPL was that it couldn't do complex smart contracts like you see on Ethereum. Well, the EVM sidechain is the answer to that. EVM just stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. It's basically Ethereum's brain. This sidechain lets developers build all those cool, complex apps, but with a huge difference. They get to settle their transactions on the super fast, super cheap XRP ledger. Best of both worlds. And what this does is just open the floodgates. Suddenly, you can build advanced DeFi lending, trading platforms, all sorts of things right in the XRP ecosystem. But here is the most crucial part. The native token to pay for all this activity is XRP. To run a smart contract, you actually have to burn a tiny bit of XRP, which creates a whole new source of utility and demand for the asset, way beyond just being a bridge for payments.
Okay, we've laid down all the layers of our new financial architecture. We've got the foundation, the vehicle, the upgrades. Now, for the final step, let's zoom out and see what happens when it all comes together. This is the grand unification, where it becomes much more than just a payment system, it becomes a global marketplace.
So what kind of stuff is going to be traded on this new financial plumbing? That's the final piece of the puzzle. The XRP ledger has a built-in capability to tokenize real-world assets, or RWAs. This means you can create a digital token that represents ownership of, say, a piece of real estate or an ounce of gold or a share in a company, and have it live and trade right on the ledger.
So let's put the whole blueprint together. You've got the XRPL as the high-speed highway. You have XRP providing the instant on-demand liquidity to bridge any asset. You've got RLUSD bringing the stability that big institutions demand. The EVM sidechain provides all the smart contract logic for complex deals. And finally, you have real-world assets, the actual valuable things being traded. When you put it all together, you have a complete macro-financial operating system. And why does all this work matter? What is the actual size of the prize here? The market for cross-border payments alone, just that one piece of the puzzle, is estimated to be around $155 trillion. So the potential impact of capturing even a tiny sliver of that is just astronomical.
And that really leads us to the final thought, the big picture question. What we've laid out today isn't just a new piece of tech. It's a blueprint for potentially unhooking global finance from the old legacy banking networks and replatforming it onto a neutral, open, mathematical standard. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Could an architecture like this one day become the new foundation for how all value moves on planet Earth?